right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, Josh Taylor. Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We always have something to talk about. On most nights it's good, on some nights it's bad. And this is one of those nights where two teams, and it's become, I guess, a theme of Pittsburgh sports of late, to fall apart at the end of the year. Every team has seemed to have done that. Andrew Fillipponi's up at 93.7 The Fan, part of the PM team. And Andrew, so today we see the Penguins continue to have goaltending issues. Alex Nedeljkovic was terrible. Flyers win 6-1. They're heading toward, who knows, top 3 pick. Not at all. And they need to figure out how to get some salary space back. That would start with Erik Karlsson. Just dump it. I don't even care if they get anything for him. Just get rid of half his salary. If you can do that, you would accomplish quite a bit. And they have a lot of other things. The goaltending situation, I'm not sure where they go from here, but it's bad. But it's also bad for Pitt. You were at the Pitt game. So you tell me, they're 9-point favorites to a bad Georgia Tech team. This reminded me of the Virginia loss. This is a team that, if you're going to have any chance, you got to win these kinds of games. They didn't get it this year. They'll get back into it. And now, the same thing again, these endings of seasons, whether it's the Steelers, the Pirates collapsed, but they collapsed all season long. You look at Pitt football, 7-0, and all of a sudden 6 straight losses. And now you have,
Well, the Pirates didn't collapse all season long. On July 31st, they were right there in the mix for the playoffs, and then they took an absolute nosedive.
I know. It's the same old story with them. But these finishes are driving me nuts. To watch these teams just fall apart at the end of the seasons, it's just not good. All right. Omar Khan spoke today. We expected that. Rich Walsh made the trip from our station to do it. As expected, he really didn't reveal anything, and I don't really think anyone is going to reveal much at this point. They have a plan. They're going to let it up in the air for us to figure out what that is, but they have a lot of work to do, and it starts this week until they get to March 12th, which is the beginning of free agency.
Yeah, I think probably the most illuminating thing he said was when he was asked about where they stand and basically said they're a couple moves away from being a contender, and he really thinks that they have a chance of being a great team and competing for Super Bowls. And I know fans really disagree with that. I think unless the quarterback thing gets rectified, I agree with the fan sentiment. But it just speaks to this, Bob. I mean, we've got teams here that try to have it both ways. And, the Pirates are stuck in rebuilding every year, but also they claim they want to compete. The Penguins are in this bind, too, where they've got players that are relics from championship teams, but they also want to replenish for the future. And then the Steelers are committed to winning, but they're really in a conference with so many great quarterback teams in a league that's defined by quarterback play, and they don't have one. So it's interesting that they seem to want to win right now, the baddest or the strongest, and they lack that one key ingredient in order to make it happen. And we debated this last night, but if they bring Justin Fields back, I don't see them contending. And what might speak to how close they think they are, Bob, what came out of the Combine today was that they're going to have a formal meeting with Ashton Genty. Are you kidding me? Did you not learn your lesson from the Najee Harris disaster? Do not, under any circumstance, pick a running back in the first round. It is a waste of time to meet with him this week. An absolute waste of time, Bob.
Andrew, you're getting carried away here. What I would tell you is they interview a lot of people there. They're just doing their due diligence, and it really has nothing to do.
Well, then meet with long snappers and kickers for an hour or 2 hours.
Fine.
Why interview a running back?
More information, the better.
So are they going to meet with Shedeur Sanders, Abdul Carter, and those guys too?
I have no
are they
problem
going to
waste
their time?
You just never know. It's better to get as much information as you can.
Never know. So where would you draft him, Bob? Would you take him 21st overall?
No.
Either would I would stand outside with a sign on East Water Street and say, you guys screwed up.
They're not going to do it. They may interview him and talk to him. They should, but they're not going to do it. Not in the first round anyway. We got to take a break. 412-575-2600. That's the number to call. Air your opinions right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from Yahoo Sports, and this is interesting. It goes to show you, what it takes to win in college. Auburn, which is to me one of the best teams, if not the best in college basketball, their average age is 23.2. If you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, that's the best team in the NBA for my money right now. Their average age is 24.4, which to me says, Andrew, no sense recruiting high school anymore. Just go to the transfer portal, figure out what you're going to do, and go from there. Why waste your time talking to 17 and 18-year-old kids?
Well, I guess if you're Duke and you can get Cooper Flagg and those guys, that would be one way to do it. But you're right. I mean, emphasizing the high school recruitment thing is just not really, I mean, programs have totally abandoned it for the exact reason that you stated. And, you know, we'll see teams start to get younger again because they've exhausted all the COVID extra eligibility that's happened. But it's crazy. Like, I think Robert Morris has a guy who's played for 5 schools in 5 years or something like that. And they're having a tremendous year, by the way. I love what Andy Toole is doing there. They're actually the best team in town, as a matter of fact. They're in first place. So if you can get out to Moon and watch them play in their tournament, that would be a lot of fun. But, yeah, Bob, I mean, I think last year Oklahoma City Thunder, same thing. I mean, there were a bunch of teams older than them. And they were a great team last year with basically the same nucleus, and they were even younger than they are right now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Both Cleveland Cavaliers and Oklahoma City Thunder, both good teams in the NBA, in case you're not paying attention.
And you keep promising we're going to go to Cleveland for games, and you never take me.
Just because I work too much at nights, and we have to figure that out. I'd like to do that. You would have a blast. And have you been there? To Quicken Loans.
Oh, yeah, I was there. I was there for the NBA Finals when Golden State clinched. I sat behind Al Villanueva and Anthony Chickolo at that game. And Villanueva, I said, hey, buddy, sit down. No one can see behind you. He had no idea who it was. And then he saw me, and then he got on my case for some of my Steelers takes and Mike Tomlin opinions. But it was a good time.
That's funny. All right, let's go to the lines at 412-575-2600. Our number one Cochran Go One Better caller of the night wants to talk about tushes, specifically the tush push. That's John in Cranberry. What's up, John?
Hey, Bob and Andrew. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Rules Committee. I know one of the they're meeting in about a month. One of the rule changes they're thinking about making is marking the kickoff at the 35 instead of the 30. But like you said, Bob, what I wanted to talk about was the tush push. So Raheem Morris came out, I think it was yesterday, the day before, the coach of the Falcons, and said he thinks it should have been illegal 3 years ago. But the Bills and Eagles have done a great job at using the play and mastering it to their advantage. But I wanted to get your and Andrew's take on the play, whether you think it should be illegal or should be taken out of the game. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, John. I'm not a fan of it. I also thought there was a rule, was there not, Andrew? At one point, you're not allowed to push people from behind in situations like that. And somehow, some way, the Eagles have made it their own, and they've been terrific. I don't think the Bills have done it nearly as well, mostly because Josh Allen doesn't like to go right. He likes to go left. But they've done well with it. Good for them. But I don't like to play myself.
Well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of changing rules because it's hard to stop something. Like, I thought when they outlawed the shift in baseball, that was a pretty lousy rule change because it basically penalized teams for doing their homework on hitter tendencies. And I think the onus should be on the hitter to adjust and not the defense where guys have to play. I don't understand why defenses haven't just said, all right, you're going to blast your quarterback with the guys behind him. We're going to line up and we're going to have basically big guys blast our linebackers into your line and see how you like it and basically fight fire with fire. And, you know, we've seen the Steelers basically try to emulate the tush push, and they've been very bad at it, as a matter of fact. So I'm with the Booger McFarland stance on this. He said it's up to defenses to get in the lab and figure out a way to stop that play.
Yeah, I give Philadelphia credit. You know, they've circumvented the rules to some extent, and they've taken advantage of it, and they do it well. And Jalen Hurts knows how to do it well. I think Baltimore, our caller mentioned Buffalo, but I think Baltimore with Andrews, their tight end, really did a pretty good job. They put him in there, and every time they did, they were successful with it.
We saw teams do that a lot, where they would actually put a tight end in there instead of a quarterback, probably because they didn't want their quarterback to take an unnecessary hit. Man, how many times, Bob, during the days where the Steelers had an elite offense, did we ask why the heck not run a quarterback sneak with Ben? And I distinctly remember that game against Jacksonville where they ran that pitch play to Le'Veon Bell.
Yep.
when it was short yardage and they could have run a quarterback sneak. It wasn't in the playbook, Ben said. Not really sure why. But Tom Brady used to be excellent at the quarterback sneak, even without a tush push. He'd weasel his way in there and find that extra half yard. It's really a tough play to stop the sneak, and then it gets even tougher with the tush push with the help from behind.
Especially Brady used to go straight down low. He used to go to an area and just get that extra, half yard.
Well, he's so pliable and flexible. He worked on that. I'm trying to do that in my gym. I could maybe do a box squat right here.
I saw some video today. You need to eat avocados and get more in line with your diet more so than anything else.
Wow, that's a real shot. Jeez, Bob.
No, I'm just saying, generally speaking.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say,
did I look fat in the video?
No,
That's what you said there. Eat some avocados.
Diet is just as important as the actual physical workout.
Well, you implied that the diet I wasn't doing a good job with that.
I didn't imply that. You took it as that. If you get offended, that's your fault, not mine. I didn't mean it that way. All right, we have some tweets. I'm going to get your take on this. Kevin D says, you want 2 words? Why taking a running back in the first round isn't a bad idea? His 2 words, Saquon Barkley. Your comment.
Yeah, how'd that go for the Giants? They took him in the first round, not the Eagles. Okay, so we shot that one down.
Listen, there are certain guys that are pretty good. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of them. I like him. I think he can be somebody who can, certainly give Detroit an edge in that game. And I also think you look at the guy in Atlanta. There are certain guys, but I agree with you. I would not put them in the first round.
Well, hold on a second. I think Bijan Robinson's a nice player. That was not a good pick by them. I mean, they win 7 or 8 games every year. They never make the playoffs. They've got one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They get absolutely 0 pass rush. Go back and look at that draft. They would have been much better off taking a player who wasn't Bijan Robinson. And look, do you have it both ways? Some people say they're not a quarterback away from winning, but then we got people arguing that it's okay to take a running back. Which one is it? I mean, running back to me is a luxury pick, Bob.
Yeah, it is. But I also think they got enough production out of Bijan Robinson. He's been very effective for them. So if you're looking at that and remember, Arthur Smith wants a powerful run game. That's what he's sold himself on.
Well, take your boy Cam Scatterbo. We don't need to take
I'm just saying the guy has been a good pick. Now, you can argue that they should have taken another thing based on needs, but as far as what he's done, and he's still just 23 years
Well, would you
away.
argue Najee's a good pick because he's had 1,000 yards every year?
No, I'm not saying that,
Okay.
but Bijan Robinson's numbers are better than that. My point is, if you get the production, you can justify the pick. However, if you have other needs that are bigger than those, then you should have gone in another direction. But anyway, we'll see what goes on. I'm fully convinced that the Steelers will not take a running back in the first round. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. We're going to get more calls on the way right here on KDK Plus and 93.7 The Fan. As you look at Acrisure Stadium on a nice night, this is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Welcome back. What's coming up tonight on KDK News at 11 o'clock? Let's find out because Ken Rice is at the anchor desk.
Hey, Bob, coming up tonight, a local school district votes to furlough dozens of teachers, plus a Hill District grocery store lays out potential plans to reopen. And Ray Pelton is tracking more mild temperatures, all coming up right here at 11, Bob.
Let's go to spring. I like spring. Thank you very much, Ken. Tell Ray we appreciate that. Lou in Baldwin joins us, Andrew. He's going to be our final caller of the night. Hello, Lou.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good, thanks.
Well, Mike Lang, I used to see him at the blues clubs, and unfortunately, he passed on due to alcoholism. The man had a problem with alcohol.
Well, whatever. I don't know what Mike had a tough ending to his life. Whatever the case may be, he certainly will be missed, and he was a fixture at all those clubs. Andrew, are you a fan of rhythm and blues?
I like jazz. Mm-hmm. I've loved my trips to New Orleans. I got married down there.
That's
went
right.
back for a 5-year anniversary. Knock on wood, I'd like to get down there for a 10th anniversary. That would be a lot of fun. So more jazz than blues. I can play multiple instruments, Bob. You name it. Saxophone, clarinet, flute.
No, you can't. Really?
Guitar.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, very musically inclined. How about you?
Well, I used to be. No longer. I haven't done any of that. We have a piano in our house, and no one's touched it in forever. I used to play the guitar also. But my dad used to love the sax. He used to play Night Train on that thing, and that was one of the great songs, especially on a saxophone. It sounded great. So, have you
Night Train Lane. Played with Dick LeBeau with the Detroit Lions back in the day,
certainly
Bob.
Did.
Both are in the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Famers, indeed. All right, we have about a minute left. What do you want to end with tonight, Andrew? Because I'm right now just thinking about all the bad things that are happening in Pittsburgh sports. I have nothing good to go to.
Well, look, I think that this idea now that's been floated out there that Justin Fields is going to test the market, and Omar Khan said to Richie that they'd like to get something done before free agency. I mean, that would, if I'm Russell Wilson in his camp, that would actually make me feel better about my situation with the Steelers. And by the way, I think if Russell Wilson does not come back here, I think he's going to have a hard time finding a starting spot in the NFL this season, Bob.
Maybe a backup, but he won't be a starter. It's going to be hard. You're right. All right, Pony, thanks. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Include those avocados in your diet, and we'll talk to you again later on this week. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We'll see you tomorrow night.